This is the most important Assassin's Creed game in years. No RPG bloat, no mythological distractions, just stealth, parkour, and assassinations. Mirage wasn't just another game, it was a statement, a return to the series' roots after years of controversy. But did it truly bring Assassin's Creed back or just play it safe? Last time we broke down Valhalla's identity crisis with the RPG formula, but if Valhalla struggled to commit, Mirage knew exactly what it wanted to be and fully embraced the classic approach. So what did it get right and where did it completely go wrong? The classic Assassin's Creed experience thrived on stealth and parkour, and Mirage finally brings that focus back in a way the series hasn't seen in years. After years of focus on RPG mechanics, Mirage strips away the excess and refines the fundamentals. Stealth is once again at the heart of the gameplay, and unlike Valhalla where blending in was pointless, Mirage makes social stealth actually viable again. The crowded streets of Baghdad allow you to disappear into groups. Benches will enable you to pass time while hiding. You can eavesdrop on NPCs again, and the bribery mechanic is finally back. You can hire mercenaries to fight for you, artists to distract guards, and civilians to help you slip past restricted zones. Pickpocketing also returns, rewarding Basim with useful items like tokens, which can be spent to hire NPCs. The game even features a disguise mechanic that has a massive potential but ultimately remains underutilized. Outside of a few scripted moments, it serves little purpose in regular gameplay. Expanding this system by allowing players to blend in more dynamically could have made social stealth even more engaging, but that potential is never realized. Mirage also brings back the notoriety system, unfolding in 3 escalating levels that will challenge you differently. Since Baghdad is packed with NPCs, escaping through social stealth in tense situations actually matters. Combine that with Basim's expanded toolset and you get some incredibly dynamic stealth encounters. One of the biggest triumphs of Mirage's stealth design is the proper return of black box missions, a feature missing from Valhalla's main game but brought back in the Siege of Paris DLC. Mirage not only fully integrates these missions but builds them around its stealth mechanics and level design, allowing you to use every tool at your disposal to approach key targets in creative ways. But as strong as the stealth gameplay is, it's still held back by one thing: the enemy AI. It's a big improvement over Valhalla, with guards reacting better to suspicious activities, but their awareness can be inconsistent at times. Losing them is incredibly easy, not just because of the abundance of escape opportunities, but also due to how the AI functions. And at times, enemies simply don't provide the challenge you'd expect, whether due to their simplistic design or lack of numbers. It's a step in the right direction, but still far from perfect. Parkour, on the other hand, is built on the RPG trilogy's framework, but for the first time in a long time, it actually feels refined. Movement is faster than Valhalla's sluggish pace, side and back ejects finally work properly, and height-gaining ejects make parkour feel far more dynamic. Basim's animations are slick, though compared to Unity's animations, they still fall short. More importantly, the city is designed to support the parkour. Baghdad's dense rooftops, tight alleyways, and strategically placed beams create a flow that encourages smooth movement, making it the best parkour experience in recent years. But despite the fact that Mirage's parkour is a solid improvement, it still lacks some major overhauls. For instance, the lack of a manual jump button is one of the things that holds it back from the true freedom of movement. While the system has clearly improved, it hasn't been revolutionized. Mirage makes it work thanks to its city design, but the potential for something greater still feels just out of reach. However, the game's biggest flaw by far is its combat. The shift back to a more action-oriented system was a right call. Ditching the RPG stats and character builds helped recapture the classic Assassin's Creed feel, but the execution, that's where Mirage stumbles. Classic AC combat revolved around counter kills, making the protagonist an unstoppable force. Unity tried to fix this by adding more challenge, and the RPG trilogy fully overhauled combat into something dynamic and engaging. Mirage, however, disregards those improvements entirely. For starters, there's only one primary weapon type, a sword. Variations exist, but they only differ in stats, not playstyles. A dagger is also included, but it suffers from the same lack of variety. Enemy types are limited and animations become repetitive fast. Compared to Valhalla's diverse arsenal and varied combat, Mirage feels like a major downgrade. Some fans appreciate the simplicity, while others feel it strips away too much. But what's really the issue? The combat is meant to be simple, but instead it's just shallow. Basim's tools can break the balance. Smoke bombs in particular make even the hardest fights trivial, and even if you avoid tools, enemies follow a few predictable attack patterns, making combat repetitive no matter the difficulty. While the game borrowed Valhalla's stamina system, emphasizing parrying and dodging, the combat still lacks depth. The last few games spent years refining this aspect of the franchise, and seeing Mirage fumble it so badly is just disappointing. Valhalla's combat mechanic was already impressive, and all it needed was some minor improvements. However, stripping it down in Mirage to the point of being forgettable and outright uninteresting was something that damaged the combat system severely. Mirage ditched the massive open-world approach of the RPG trilogy in favor of a large, dense city. Baghdad is stunning. Ubisoft has once again nailed the historical setting, creating a vibrant and immersive world. Bustling markets, intricate alleyways, and grand structures make exploration feel unique. Unlike the RPG trilogy where the bird companion provided near total awareness from above, Mirage limits its effectiveness. Enemies can now hunt your bird, forcing you to rely more on grounded reconnaissance. But here's a trade-off. The RPG trilogy was packed with side content, but Mirage cuts it down too much. Compared to Odyssey and Valhalla, side activities are minimal. On one hand, this keeps the world focused, eliminating bloat. But on the other, it can feel empty. Contracts and collectible-based tasks exist, but the rewards are mostly charms and outfit dyes, which aren't exactly enticing. After Valhalla's sprawling world and layered mechanics, Mirage's stripped-down approach might feel underwhelming. The Hidden One bureaus are scattered throughout the city, offering glimpses into the Brotherhood's presence, but unfortunately they can't be customized. It feels like a missed opportunity, especially since Valhalla allowed players to upgrade their settlement, and a similar system could have added more depth to Mirage's world. That said, Mirage excels in environmental design. Lots of interiors are fully accessible, chests and puzzles are woven seamlessly into the city's design, and most of the districts feel distinct. Navigation is dynamic, and Baghdad itself is a true reward for exploration, an interconnected playground built for fluid parkour, yet also a living, breathing city teeming with life at street level. Progression is equally streamlined. The skill tree is compact, with some abilities unlocking naturally as you progress through the story, while others require skill points, which are easy to obtain. Tool upgrades involve gathering materials, but remain optional so you can finish the story without them. This stripped-down system removes the grinding and busy work of the RPG trilogy, making Mirage a much more straightforward experience. This game may not be the biggest Assassin's Creed entry, but it's one of the most immersive and beautifully crafted in the series. Mirage serves as a prequel to Valhalla, but unlike the past couple of games, instead of blending assassin personality with another archetype, it fully embraces the Hidden Ones. As a prequel, it not only brings back Basim, one of the series' most important characters, as the main protagonist, but also dives deep into classic Assassin's Creed themes, allowing us to truly play as the Hidden One rather than merely imitating them or outright rejecting the Brotherhood. While the game doesn't explicitly bridge the gap between Mirage and Valhalla, it does flesh out Basim's character, tracing his journey from a street thief to a hidden one. Unlike the RPGs, Mirage abandons dialogue choices and multiple endings, opting for a cohesive linear narrative. The game's shorter, more focused story stands in stark contrast to the bloated, drawn-out narratives of the previous games, making it feel closer to the classic titles. Without unnecessary grinding or filler content, the game is tightly paced and much easier to complete, avoiding the fatigue that kicked in for some players with the RPG trilogy. However, this faster pace also comes with drawbacks. For instance, some story beats unfold too quickly, lacking proper build-up to make their impact truly resonate. The biggest flaw with the past couple of games was their bloated order list, where most members felt like generic NPCs with no presence. Mirage fixes this by reducing their number, allowing each target to play a more defined role in the story and making their assassinations more engaging. However, despite the smaller list, some members, especially the head of the order, don't receive enough build-up, making their final confrontations feel rushed. A stronger presence throughout the game could have made their reveals far more impactful, but that build-up never quite happens. Also, Basim's journey is compelling, but his allies less so. Most of them feel like glorified quest givers rather than fully realized characters. The game sets up figures who should have meaningful relationships with Basim, but rarely explores those dynamics in a satisfying way, missing opportunities to add weight to the story. However, the most controversial omission is the modern-day storyline, or rather the complete lack of it. Mirage had a golden opportunity to tie Basim's story into something greater, and it just doesn't. Apart from the opening sequence, Mirage ignores the modern-day narrative entirely, stripping away one of Assassin's Creed's defining pillars. Valhalla made the modern-day plot feel important again, but Mirage leaves it behind, making the game feel disconnected from the overarching series lore. While there are still some issue elements considering Basim's nature and direct connection to Valhalla, it's surprising how much Mirage downplays them in favor of a far more grounded experience. That said, despite its flaws, the game handles the Hidden Ones with respect, showcasing their ideals in fine details while paying tribute to earlier entries. Unfortunately, much like in Valhalla and Odyssey, the animation quality in cutscenes remains an issue. While not as severe as Valhalla's inconsistencies, it's still a noticeable step down from the past games, especially when compared to Origins, which had far superior facial animations. This regression is hard to ignore, considering how polished earlier titles felt in comparison. Assassin's Creed Mirage is the most faithful return to the series' roots in a very long time. It strips away RPG progression, doubles down on stealth, and offers an impressive map to have a fun time performing parkour in. It's a game that finally understands what made classic Assassin's Creed gameplay special, but it's also one that never reaches its full potential. That's not because the foundation is flawed, but because it's clearly needed more time and bigger budget. Mirage delivers incredible stealth, a stunning world, and fluid parkour, but a missing modern-day story, bare-bones side content, and lackluster combat hold it back. It doesn't feel like Assassin's Creed is stuck, it feels like Ubisoft was on the right path but didn't go far enough. This game proves that Assassin's Creed can thrive without the RPG elements once more, but without the budget and time to match its ambition, it still leaves a lot on the table. So do you think Mirage is a true return to classic Assassin's Creed, or do you feel it still falls short? Let's settle this in the comments.